Hello, hello, hello. Revive and thrive, ladies. How are you doing today? How are you doing? It's hard to believe that it is only Tuesday. It has been a long couple days for us over here at RT. So I'm going to give it a couple minutes and then we're going to get started. And looks like everything is working tech-wise. So hallelujah, that's a win. So hello, everybody. I am so happy to be here today. This is day 2 of the Antistress Summit, which is a virtual week experience that I'm offering for you ladies. We go through different topics every single day. So make sure to come live so that you can ask questions. If you're watching this on replay, make sure to watch all of the days. Yesterday was day 1 of the Antistress Summit, and I went over a really powerful exercise with all of you ladies on establishing a solid anti-stress routine. I walked you through how to identify the things that you want to add to your morning. I talked about how to establish a routine that actually sticks, because so often we try to establish these routines and then they fall flat and don't continue with us throughout the entire year. So it was a really amazing day, lots of good stuff in there. So go check that out. And then today, what I'm going to talk to you about is how to become unstressable. And I've got a couple personal stories that I'm going to share with you. I've got a few exercises and practices that I'm going to share with you. And I'm so excited to do this with you all today. So thank you all for being here. If you have watched one of my live streams before, make sure that you pop in the comments and say hi. It's so good to see you again. And if this is your first time meeting me, please say hi. Let me know a little bit about yourself. I'm so happy that you're here as well. The Anti-Stress Summit is happening this entire week, and it is happening in preparation for the launch of my 6-month training, which starts on Saturday, which is called Burnout to Breakthrough. This is a 6-month program where I take high-stress women and I guide them through a process that allows them to eliminate burnout from their life for good. And we start on Saturday. I'm really excited for the women who have already enrolled. And I know that there's more that are going to enroll this week, and I'm super excited to get started. So every single day of this summit, I'm introducing a topic that I teach in that program. So yesterday I talked about creating an anti-stress routine. Month 1 of my Burnout to Breakthrough program is all around building a resilient foundation. And a big part of building a resilient foundation is incorporating routines into your life. It is so important. And I talked so much about that in the first day of the summit. So go ahead and watch that over there and just know that that's the entire first month of the Burnout to Breakthrough program. Now, today, I'm going to introduce some nervous system education to you. And this is something that I wish was taught more in school. And unfortunately, it's not. And so I go through a lot of this in my program as well. The second month in Burnout to Breakthrough is all dedicated to teaching you about your nervous system, to teaching you what happens when you shift into a stressed out state, so that you understand it and so that you learn how to regulate yourself. Things seem really scary when we don't have a lot of knowledge around them. So for example, if you've never learned about your nervous system, you could have fears around what your body does when you get into a stressful situation. How many of you that are here have ever experienced anxiety? Anxiety is definitely something that's really common. I have had a lifelong journey with anxiety. And there was a part of my life where I was very scared of my body and how I would respond to stress because I didn't understand it. And so my hope is that by teaching you ladies about your nervous system, about your body, about what happens when you shift into stress, you will understand and start to become connected to your body instead of having fear around it. So let's dive in. So I mentioned I'm going to share a couple personal stories with you today, and then we'll go through all of the teaching. So the first personal story that I wanted to share was something that just happened last week. And for those of you who don't know, well, I'm going to actually introduce myself because some of you are here that are new here, which is really exciting. So hello, my name is Cassandra. I am the owner of Revive and Thrive Women, which is a company dedicated to helping women prevent and recover from burnout. I am very passionate about teaching women the tools that they need to know to stay calm during chaotic moments at work. And I believe in a world where burnout does not exist for women. And I know we have a long way to go. The statistics are pretty grim around women who are burnt out right now. And I am on a mission to help as many women as I can recover from burnout, because on the other side of burnout, on the other side of survival mode, you are going to learn how powerful you are. And when we are in such a state of stress, we lose sight of that and we start to feel like we don't have control over the things around us, including our life. And I want to teach all of you that just by taking steps forward every day, implementing these tools that can help you manage your stress, you're going to find and rediscover how powerful you are. I'm also a new mom, so I have an 18-month-old daughter, and she's a big part of my why. I love working with moms who are dedicated to breaking the cycle of stress in their family. So many of us watched our moms really anxious and stressed out, and those patterns were placed on us, and now we are really anxious and stressed out. And our moms watched their moms, and their moms watched their moms, and like this cycle continues to repeat. And I am a hard no against passing that down to my daughter. And I love working with other women who are really interested in learning how to self-regulate and how to heal so that you break that cycle and you pass on a legacy of peace, a legacy of strength. And even if you're not a mother, I work with a lot of moms who aren't mothers, but the generation forward is always looking up to its elders, including you. And so it's really important that you can model what it means to be a woman in her power who knows how to regulate, who is unwavering. And so my background is that I was in corporate for about a decade. I was the vice president of my company. I ran a $12 million sales organization, which was a very high stress job. And within my time in corporate, I did experience burnout when I was a director of operations. I hit burnout rock bottom, and it was not pretty. It influenced everything. It just was like very destructive. My relationships suffered, my health suffered, my relationship to myself suffered. And so still get emotional thinking about it sometimes because it was so hard. So anyways, I recovered from burnout and then was promoted to vice president. I loved that position. I was really able to manage my team in a way that felt very powerful. And then I retired from the corporate space last year after I had my daughter to start my own business and support more women who are looking to find their own power and really get away and out of survival mode. So that's a little bit about me, or a lot of it about me, so you all know. And if you are here live, go ahead and put in the comments where you are coming from, what your name is, so I can kind of engage with you. I love having these live conversations, so I don't feel like I'm just like talking at a screen. So definitely place if you're here, let me know what's going on for you, and we're gonna dive in. So one of the personal stories that I wanted to share with you is that my daughter, as I mentioned, is 18 months, almost 19 months. And she is becoming a little human. She is becoming a little human with all of the emotions and all of the needs and all of the things. And it's so beautiful to watch. And wow, it is also very intense. And a few days ago, she was in the middle of having a full-on meltdown, so upset. There was a toy she was playing with, and like the square block wouldn't fit in the round hole or like something. And she was just like losing it. And me and my husband were with her, and I was taking my deep breaths and like talking her through. And my husband turns to her and says, "Jocelyn, calm down." And even for a second in my mind, I was like, yes, please calm down, because it was a really intense situation. And then after we all recovered from that, luckily, her meltdowns don't last very long. And if you have kids, you might be able to relate to this. I turned to my husband and I said, she really doesn't know how to calm down. So it's not very helpful for us to just say, "Jocelyn, calm down." There isn't an understanding, and she's too young to even for us to even teach her, right? And then I was chuckling to myself because I was thinking, even as adults, how many of us don't know how to calm down? Yet a lot of us are telling our kids, calm down. So I say this in a light humorous way because we have to have some laughter, right? And there is a big teaching here. And that is that we are not taught how to regulate ourselves. We are not taught how to stay centered when the world around us is swirling. We are not taught how to down-regulate our nervous system. This is not things that are incorporated as much as they should be in our educational journey. And so it makes sense that a lot of us adults are walking around in this stressful world, not knowing how to stay rooted and centered and calm, no matter what happens. And that's what I'm really passionate about teaching, because once you do learn how to do that, your confidence goes up. You feel as if no matter what, no matter the stressful experiences that come at you, you know how to stay centered, you know how to stay calm, you know how to stay in your core values. Like, this is so, so important. And, you know, as I speak to this now, we're in a time that feels really scary. I keep seeing article after article after article around layoffs. I have a ton of friends in the tech industry. And so these are external experiences that we can't control that are happening that are scary. And then we have a lot of like fear-based narratives around what's going on. And so there is not a better time than now to learn the tools that you need to learn to stay centered. And that's why I'm doing this summit. And that's why I teach my program, because again, it's just so important. So that story, I was laughing at my husband, and I was laughing at myself, because even with all the things that I know, I still caught myself being like, Oslin, calm down. It's like, she doesn't know how to calm down. So many of us adults don't even know how to calm down. So I'm going to go into a couple of things today. And the reason why this is called unstressable, become unstressable, that's the topic of today, is because that is possible. It is possible. And I would love to know how many of you read that title and were like, that is not possible. Because if I read that title probably 4 years ago, I would have been like, that's not possible. And so I want to define what I mean by that, because it does bother me when I hear people selling a stress-free life. I don't think that's possible, because we are always going to have external stressors. We cannot control a lot of that. We can't control that the company that we work for is laying off 12,000 people. We can't control that somebody cuts us off in traffic. We can't control that our 18-month-old baby is having a full-on meltdown. Like, there's always going to be these external stressors. How you react to stress is something that you control, and you can become unstressable. You can have all of these things happening, but you stay centered, you stay zipped up in your center. And this is what I'm going to share on today. So if you looked at the title and you were like, that ain't possible, I'm here to offer a mindset shift and let you know that it is. Because again, we're always going to have these things coming at us, but we can really control and clean up any patterns that we have that lead to a way of reacting to stress that causes harm. What we want is to react to stress in a way that makes us stronger, and that is possible. So let's get into it. So as I mentioned, in my Burnout to Breakthrough program, which starts on Saturday, there is an entire month and a little bit longer, about a month and a half, dedicated to nervous system education, because it is so important. And so today I'm just going to give you a little piece of that, because I don't have that much time. And then just know that if this is something that you really want to learn more of, and you want to actually learn how to become a woman who knows how to regulate her nervous system, this program I'm starting on Saturday is something that you want to get curious about. And I would love to have a conversation with you if that is. Okay. So today we're just going to touch the surface, and just know that there is more opportunity for you to go deeper if you'd like. So the first thing that I would like you to understand is that your nervous system is there for you. Your nervous system has two main branches, the sympathetic mode and the parasympathetic mode, and it oscillates between the two. Sympathetic mode is what we know as fight or flight. And many of you may have experienced fight or flight before. I'm sure you have. This is when we get stressed out. We go into a fight or flight state. And then there's our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest mode. And in a healthy person who has a healthy nervous system, you oscillate between the two. So you have a stressful event happen, you shift into sympathetic. Once you realize that situation is not going to cause you harm, you shift back into the parasympathetic nervous mode. Now, unfortunately, we have so many stressors in our day-to-day that a lot of us are shifting into fight or flight way too much. So that's the first thing, right? We get an email from a client, we're activated. We get our boss slacks us and says, hey, I need to talk to you. We're like stimulated. You know, there's so many things happen. We get cut off, our like knuckles grab the steering wheel, we're pissed off, and like we're in fight or flight. So one, we're shifting into that side way too often. And then number two, we're getting stuck there. So how many of you have ever received an email at 8 a.m. that was an angry client, and then by 5 p.m. you're still ruminating and thinking and stressed out about that email? You just spent 8 hours, 9 hours in fight or flight mode. So why does that matter? When your body is in a state of fight or flight, there are things that happen in your body that are there to help you, but will cause harm if you're there for too long. So things like your heart rate goes up, you begin to sweat, your digestion stops, your pupils dilate. All of these things happen to support you because our nervous system was created to help us get away from harmful things. So back in the day, when we had a lot of harm in our world, you know, we had lions and tigers that we had to be running from. We want to have a nervous system that shifts into fight or flight, because if we're running from a tiger, we need to have all of the energy of our body dedicated to helping us get away. We don't want to be digesting food. We don't want to be doing some of these other things. So our body flips into this system where it's like, okay, all of the energy is going to go towards getting you away from the tiger. Okay. And then when you get away from the tiger and your body realizes that you're safe, you shake that off, literally. You know, if you've ever seen a cat be chased by a dog, and then she goes and hides into the bush and she's shaking, it's not because she's scared. It's because her body is literally processing the traumatic experience that just happened. And we work the same way, but we have this ego that tells us like shaking is weird, or like moving isn't going to happen. I don't have time to process. I'm going to sweep this under the rug. And so we're left with all this trauma in our body that never was able to release. So where was I? That was a little bit of a tangent, but so important for you to understand. So in today's modern world, we are moving into fight or flight way too often. We're moving into it when things happen that stimulate us that maybe don't need to, right? And then also we're getting stuck. A lot of us get stuck in a fight or flight state. And what that does is it leads to chronic illness. It leads to a lot of things that you don't want. And so maybe some of you, I'm actually curious to know if you have experienced this, put this in the comments, but maybe some of you have experienced some chronic health issues that are associated to your stress. You know, when I was in my burnout, I had a lot of chronic health issues arise. And honestly, I actually am still managing some of those things because sometimes it does take time. Stress can create a lot of inflammation in your body. A lot of inflammation in your body can result to all different sorts of things that happen: rashes, digestion problems, autoimmune responses. So what we know now, thanks to science and research, is that a lot of the chronic illnesses that we are facing are due to our stress levels. And that is another huge reason why I'm so dedicated to doing the work that I do, because I want you ladies to all be healthy, because you have a very great impact on your family and the world. And when women are healthy, everybody benefits. We are really the leader of our family units in that way. So now that you know a little bit about the nervous system, where you want to get to is you want to get to a place where something stressful happens, you notice that you are getting stressed out, and then you immediately pull a tool to downregulate your nervous system. So daycare calls. How many of you who are mamas look at your phone when daycare is calling you and you are like, oh my gosh, and like all the things happen. You're like sweating, your heart rate goes up, you maybe even have a hard time breathing, you get anxious, like, because you know that on the other side of that phone call might be a conversation that's uncomfortable. Maybe you have to go pick up your kiddo because their temperature is too high. Maybe the daycare is shutting down and that's going to mess with your work plans. That's a really good example. So how do we see the phone number on our phone when daycare calls and then pull a tool to downregulate so that we can take care of ourselves and so that we don't shift into fight or flight? That's the magic, right? How do we see an email from a client that's blowing up and we don't go down the spiral? We just stay centered and we stay cool and we take care of ourselves, and we know that, like, okay, I am powerful and I can manage the situation. The other thing about being so stressed out, ladies, is that we are not our best self when we're stressed out at work. So if you are having a stressful day, I'm going to guess that the work that you're producing isn't your top-notch work, because when you're stressed out and when you're chronically stressed out, meaning that you experience stress day after day after day after day, which a lot of us do, you have different areas of your brain that change. And I've posted on my social media a lot about this. So you can go look there to see what I mean. But in short, there are different areas of the brain that change when people are exposed to chronic stress. And a lot of those areas are the areas that we need to be creative, the areas that we need to be problem solvers, and the areas that we need to have good memory. And so if you're chronically stressed out at work and you're wondering why you can't stay focused, and you're wondering why your creativity is not there, and you're wondering why you can't remember deadlines or things on your calendar, that could be why. And so if that's the case, like, clean this up, because you are an amazing person and you have so much great work to produce, and you can't do that if you're stressed out. So what I'm going to teach you today is a really simple tool that you can use in the moments that you feel yourself getting stressed out. So just like I mentioned in yesterday's video, the first step to all of this is growing your awareness. Growing your awareness and becoming aware of what are the things that happen that create stress. What are the things that happen that create this switching into fight or flight mode? That one thing is so important, because if you're not aware, you're not going to change anything. And so many of us live our lives unaware. We're just going to work, we're getting stressed out, we're coming home, we're exhausted, we're frustrated with the kids, we go to sleep, we can't sleep, we wake up exhausted, we go to work, like we're literally robots, just like moving through life. It's wild. And I was like that as well. So the first thing is to grow your awareness. So write this down. So number one, become aware of the things that happen, and the way in which you react to stress is also really important. So what is your reaction to stressful experiences? Because again, we cannot always control those things. We can put things in place to help protect our energy so that we're not exposed to some of the stressors. But at the end of the day, like, we cannot control it all. And there will be things that happen in your life that are stressful. So how you react to that experience is what I want you to get super, super connected with. Like, understand your reactions. And this is something I said yesterday too. And if you're in my world and if you work with me, you know that this is a huge part of what I teach: non-judgment and no shame. Anytime that you want to get aware of the habits and the patterns that you have that are not serving you, do so in a way that is not judgmental and that is not shameful, because there is no learning opportunity from shame and from judgment. And that has been studied as well. Thank you, Brene Brown. So one of the things I invite my students and my clients into often is, like, we have to become aware of the things that we're doing that aren't serving us. And we have to do that with grace. No judgment, no shame. We have been shamed so much, especially as women, that we are afraid of awareness because we don't want to shame ourselves for some of those things. So just don't. If you know that you react to stress in a way that's harming you, it's okay. You get to change that. So don't judge yourself. No judgment, no shame. That is the rule in my world. Okay. So number one, grow your awareness around what your reaction is like to stressful experiences. Think of the day-to-day stressors that you might have in your day, and you can write these down. So maybe it's interactions with your boss. Maybe you're working under a toxic boss, and every single interaction you have with that person feels stressful. Write it down. Maybe it's coming home from work and having to figure out dinner and kids pickups and like all the things, and that feels like a lot, and it leads to you feeling overwhelmed. Write that down. So write down the things in your life that you know right now are causing a reaction that isn't helpful when it comes to stress. Okay. And then I'm going to teach you a tool that you can use, and you're going to apply this tool every time that you feel yourself becoming stimulated. And now that you have this list of things, that's also a way to grow your awareness around just like a game plan for the day. If I know that talking to my boss is a stressful situation 99% of the time, and I know I have a meeting with that person today, I'm going to apply these tools prior to that conversation so that I can take care of myself before that. Now, side note, if you're working under a toxic boss, I would highly consider that you look for work elsewhere. because so many of us stay stuck under a toxic or in a toxic environment. If your corporate culture is one of toxicity and is promoting things that are not in alignment with who you are, that will lead to more burnout. It is a breeding ground for burnout. And so many of us are scared to pivot in our career because we feel like we're not good enough to land another job, or we're not good enough to land in another company. And I want you to erase that limiting belief right now. You are so smart. You have so many skills, and there is a job out there that is in alignment with you and what you want. So another side riff, but also very important, because the tools that I teach you, ladies, like if you're in a toxic environment, like you can use all the tools, but like you're still in a toxic environment, right? There's a difference between external stressors and pressure that can lead to your growth, and toxic pressures that will lead to your suffering, no matter what. So I have personal experience working under a toxic boss, and I am still unraveling some of that trauma years later. So I just want to say that because it's really important. And so many of us stay stuck in an unhealthy environment because of fear. We're scared to make another move. So onto the tool. Are you ready? Let me know in the comments if you have questions around this so that I can answer them after, and I'm just going to keep going. Okay. So the tool that I'm going to teach you today is a tool that I teach all of my students. It is a breathwork tool. And for those of you who don't know, I have spent 6 years, almost 7 years in trainings that include yoga, breathwork, meditation, mindfulness. So in 2017, when I experienced my burnout, I enrolled in a 200-hour yoga program to get my 200-hour level certification. And at that time, I had no interest in teaching others. I just really wanted to figure out what this yoga thing was, because I saw so many people using it as a practice to stay calm. And I was at that time still in a very high stress job. And I enjoyed moving my body in that way. And when I'm interested in things, I tend to be the type of person who goes deep. So instead of just taking yoga classes, I was like, get me yoga certified. So I did a 200-hour. After that 200-hour, I felt completely in love with the practice. And so I did a 300-hour, and I got 300 hours certified. And then the next year I became an ambassador for the school that I learned at. So I was taught at a school called Body Temple Yoga School. And then after that, I continued to go, and I basically graduated from that school. I was one of the top 4 women who had ever done studies there. So I had that much training. So I have a lot of training in breathwork, meditation, alignment-based hatha yoga, and those are all tools that I bring into the Burnout to Breakthrough program to teach you these amazing things that have been around for centuries that unfortunately we also don't learn much about, that can really help you stay connected to yourself and stay centered when, again, this crazy world is just like swirling around you. So today's breathwork technique is something that is super simple. This is a grounding breathwork technique. So this is something that's going to be available for you always. And I would highly recommend using it when you're stressed out and you start to feel anxious. So for those of you who are here live, we can do this together. And then if you're watching this on the replay, let me know in the comments and I'll reach out to you and see how things went. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a seat in your chair. This technique can be used anywhere. So if you want to lay down on the floor, you can. If you're driving, you can still do it as well. Just make sure you pay attention. Actually, don't drive and watch this at the same time, please. Pause it and come back later when you're safe. But what I want to say is, like, this is a breathwork technique that you can apply anytime. So after you learn, if you're sitting in traffic and somebody cuts you off and like the anger comes up, you can apply this breathwork technique. There are certain breathwork techniques that are a little bit more advanced and require you to be like in a certain position with your eyes closed. And so obviously those would not be ones that you would use when you're driving or operating heavy machinery. Okay, so for those of you who are here right now, go ahead and take a comfortable seat, wherever that is. You can start to deepen your breath. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. I love to close my eyes when I'm learning new things because it takes this visual component out. And so it allows me to really drop in. So if that feels safe for you right now, close your eyes. And then I want you to place your left hand on your heart. And then I want you to place your right hand over. So you can feel your heartbeat underneath your left hand. Begin to deepen your breath in and out through your nose. So close your mouth. And then before we really begin to manipulate your breath, just notice where your breath is right now. Like notice the quality of your breath. Is it deep? Is it shallow? Is it long? Is it short? Just get familiar with how you breathe. And then once you have grown some awareness around how you breathe, begin to manipulate your breath by deepening your breath and breathing slower. You can take your right hand and place it on your belly. And then on every inhale, you can feel your belly expand. Every exhale, feel it go back to normal. As a practice, just see how slow you can slow your breath down. So how slow can you go? Continue to do a few rounds of this breath, and I'm going to talk you through some of the things that are happening in your body. So when you breathe in and out through your nose versus out through your mouth, it has an incredibly calming impact on your body, which you might already feel right now. It switches your body into a state of rest. Your nervous system switches into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what we want. We want to hang out there. We don't want to hang out in fight or flight. It's not the vibe. So as you continue to deepen your breath, notice how your body begins to feel. Notice if you feel more calm. Notice if you feel more grounded. Now I had you place your left hand on your heart so that you can feel your heart underneath your hand. That's incredibly grounding. This is something that I do often when I'm feeling really anxious and really stressed out. My daughter has actually picked up on this, so she will sometimes see me breathing like this, and she will sit down and put her hand here and breathe, and it melts my heart. Because again, that's a big part of my why. I want her to learn these tools, and I want her to learn them from a young age so that they're just a part of her life. It's not something she has to seek as an adult like we're having to do, right? So take a few more deep breaths. We'll just do a couple rounds here, really slowing your breath down. So this breathwork technique is super simple. It's just nasal breath, deep nasal breath. And the addition of placing your hand on your heart is really nice because it allows you to feel your heartbeat, and that strengthens that mind-body connection, and it also creates calm. Okay. So wherever you're at, take your last deep breath now, deep in through your nose. And then exhale out and let that go. Take a moment to feel your body, feel the shift that has occurred in your body. Take a moment to notice if that breath had an impact on your mind. So maybe your mind was racing with all the things that you have to do today, or maybe your mind was thinking about the time and your next meeting, but then as soon as you started to breathe slowly and give your mind something to focus on, your breath, things calmed down. That can definitely happen. All right. So ladies, if you are here live, put in the comments what you experienced. Let me know how you feel. Let me know if you feel more calm. The more that you practice this, the stronger that it's going to get for you. So if this was your first time practicing any type of breathwork technique and it felt kind of funky, that's okay. Keep coming back, recommit to yourself that you're going to include this into your daily routine and use this often. If you watch this video and then you never practice this again, nothing will change, right? So you have a tool now. Take this with you into your workday after this training and use it, apply it daily, and watch your life change. And if you know that you are the type of person who loves to have accountability when you're applying new things, this is where the Burnout to Breakthrough program can come in clutch for you. Because you are going to be surrounded by other women who are all being held accountable by a loving teacher, insert me. And all of you are doing this for very similar reasons. The women who are in my world are all really interested in becoming cycle breakers and all really interested in stepping into their power. And they are tired of feeling stressed out. They are tired of being in survival mode. So if after today, you know you want more, you can reach out to me and we can discuss what that looks like. And I can tell you more about the program. Okay. All right, ladies. So that is going to wrap up the tool for today. And as a wrap up, again, the invitation is to really just consider the ways in which you can use this tool and this practice throughout your workday. So we went through a couple exercises. I had you think about what is your current reaction to external stressors, write that down, and then also write down the times of your day that you tend to have more of those happen. So if you're a mom, maybe mornings are really stressful for you. If so, make sure you watch yesterday's video because I talk a lot about how to create calm in the mornings. For me as a mom, it's a non-negotiable. I have to get my morning routine in before I go to nurse my daughter, or else I'm not going to show up to her in the way that I want. So I create calm for myself. And in doing so, when I go get her out of her crib and we spend time together, she feels that and she's calm as well. If I wake up super flustered all over the place and I'm like rushing and chugging coffee and then I grab her out of her crib and like, she's going to feel that, you know? And again, I say this with so much love, like if that's your experience every morning, it's okay. Don't judge yourself. You don't know any better, but now you do. Now you have tools, right? So use the tools. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments and let me know. Hello, Margaret. So good to see you. Again, continue to come back every single day this week because every day I'm giving you a different practice and that practice is linked to one of the months that I teach in the program. So just as a recap, yesterday I taught you all about an anti-stress routine. In the first month of my Burnout to Breakthrough program, I go in how to build a resilient foundation. And we start that on Saturday. It's coming up quick. So starting Saturday, for those of you ladies who are enrolled, you are going to learn how to build a resilient foundation because that is necessary. If you want to learn how to eliminate burnout for good, if you want to learn how to skyrocket in your career, if you want to learn how to be a cycle breaker, you have to have a solid foundation first. That is required. So that is the first month of teaching that I go through with you. The second month of teaching is all around the nervous system, educating you on your body, how it works, when you go into fight or flight, what's happening inside your body on a physiological scale. Right? So today it's a little piece of that. And just know in the Burnout to Breakthrough program, I go so much deeper, so much deeper. Okay. So any questions, let me know. I will post on this page some links for you if you are interested in talking with me and having a conversation. That's the best way to move forward if you're curious around the B2B program. Okay. So if you like what I'm teaching, if you want to learn more, then book a call and we can connect and see if it's a good fit. I only teach this program 2 times a year. So we're starting on Saturday and then we're not starting again for another 6 months. So if you have any interest level at all in learning how to eliminate your burnout for good and be a cycle breaker and pass on a legacy of peace, then I highly, highly, highly suggest that you just book a call. I love having these calls with you. They're connection calls. I get to know you. I get to know your heart. You get to know what I'm all about, what I'm teaching, and then we get to see if there's resonance there. Okay. All right, ladies, have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you all tomorrow. Use this tool. Use this tool. Apply this tool today. Change today. That is possible for you. Okay. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.